Have you ever walked into a room full of people and still felt like you didn't quite belong there? Like your energy was low, but the noise was high? Maybe you stopped attending events you used to enjoy, not because something went wrong, but because it doesn't feel the same anymore. You're not alone, and you're not broken. What you're feeling is a shift, a wise one, and that shift deserves to be understood and honored. Let's be honest. As we age, how we interact with the world starts to shift. Things that used to excite us now feel exhausting. The big gatherings, the constant small talk, the pressure to show up and be on all the time, it starts to feel like too much. And for many of us in our 60s, 70s, or even 80s, that change isn't something to fear. It's something to understand. Maybe you found yourself saying no more often. Maybe your calendar has a little more white space than it used to. That's not a loss. That's space for peace. In this video, we're going to unpack why this shift happens, why it's completely normal, and why it may be the most powerful choice you've made for yourself in years. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. When older adults begin stepping back from people, society often labels it as isolation or decline. You hear, stay social, or don't be alone too much. But what if pulling away is not a problem? What if it's a sign of wisdom? You've lived long enough to know that not every gathering fills your cup. Sometimes, silence is what heals you most. It's not about shutting down. It's about tuning in and choosing your peace. You're not disappearing. You're becoming more intentional. And that's not something to fix. That's something to respect. Let's talk about something real. As we move through life, we don't just carry memories. We carry moments that shaped us. Some of them are beautiful. Others leave marks. And sometimes those marks come from people we trusted the most. A friend who suddenly stopped calling. A family member who made a promise and broke it. Or someone who made you feel seen once, then vanished when things got hard. Those experiences build up. Not all at once, bit by bit, quietly. Take Chloe, for example. She's 81 now. Back in the day, her house was the place to be on Saturdays. Music playing, the smell of lasagna in the kitchen, and laughter from the dining room. But over time, that changed. Some friends faded. Others hurt her in ways she didn't see coming. One betrayed a deep confidence. Another stopped coming around after her husband passed. There wasn't one big fight, just a slow unraveling. Now, she spends weekends reading or working in the garden. And honestly, she prefers it. Not because she stopped caring about people, but because she started caring more about herself. That's the thing about getting older. You start to notice patterns. You realize not everyone who claps when you win will stand beside you when you lose. You've learned that giving your trust is a precious act. And once that trust is broken, rebuilding it takes more than words. It takes time, and some people never earn it back. This isn't about becoming cold or bitter. It's about becoming wise. You've been hurt. You've healed. And now, you protect your heart. That's not weakness. That's a strength. There's power in deciding who gets access to your energy. It's not about shutting people out. It's about not letting just anyone walk in. Psychologists call this relational boundaries. It's when you stop opening the door to everyone and instead only invite in the ones who respect the space you've built. And the truth is, that's one of the healthiest things you can do. Because at this point in your life, peace matters more than approval. Consistency matters more than charm. So if you found yourself stepping back, keeping your circle smaller, and choosing quiet over company, you're not closing off. You're healing in your own way. You've seen enough to know what's real and what's not. And that kind of clarity only comes with time. You don't need to explain that to anyone. You don't need to justify it. What you're doing is protecting what's left of your peace. And honestly, that might just be one of the most loving things you can do for yourself now. And here's what that teaches us. Love does not always last, but self-respect can. And when you choose self-respect, When you choose to guard your peace, you're not losing relationships. You're gaining yourself back. Let's be real. Small talk used to be part of the rhythm of life. You go to church, bump into someone at the grocery store, and catch up with old friends over coffee. It was fine, even fun sometimes. But now, it feels different. There comes a point when you've had enough surface-level talk to last a lifetime. Conversations that circle weather, gossip, or how busy people are. It starts to feel more draining than engaging. Henry, 76, used to love being around people. He was in sales for over 40 years. Always smiling, always chatting. He had a joke for every occasion and could keep a conversation going even in an empty room. But lately, something shifted. He says, "I'm done talking just to fill the air." Now he picks and chooses where he goes and who he talks to. He still enjoys company, but only when it feels real. That shift? It's not about becoming antisocial. It's about craving authenticity. You begin to value silence. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer feel the need to say it all. You want conversations that matter, that goes somewhere, that touches something deeper than just the surface. And when you don't find those conversations, you stop forcing them. You'd rather be home with a good book or listening to the wind outside your window than sit in a room full of voices that don't connect with you. Because connection without meaning, it just feels empty. There's something sacred about choosing quiet over chaos. It doesn't mean you're lonely. It means you're intentional. Your energy matters. Your time matters. And you've earned the right to spend both on things that bring you peace. We live in a world that sometimes mistakes silence for sadness. But silence, when chosen, is strength. It's clarity. It's the sound of your own spirit breathing again. And when you start to honor that, you begin to realize something powerful. You don't need a crowd to feel connected. Sometimes the best company is your own presence. So if you found yourself declining invitations or skipping big gatherings lately, don't beat yourself up. You're not fading away. You're tuning in. You're saying, "I'll show up, but only where I feel seen, where I feel heard, where I feel at peace." And honestly, that kind of clarity is rare, and it's worth holding on to. You're not pulling away. You're making room for what's real. And in doing that, you're giving yourself one of the greatest gifts there is, peace that isn't loud, but lasting. And here's the thing. You don't need to explain that to anyone. Because once you've experienced the kind of calm that feeds your soul, you stop apologizing for choosing it. There's a quiet kind of loneliness that comes when you feel like the world no longer speaks your language. You might be in the room, even smiling, even listening, but deep down, you know they don't hear you. And that feeling, it cuts deep. Take Ella. She's 79, a retired school teacher, mother of 5, community volunteer, and someone who's lived through decades of change. She's got stories, lessons, real wisdom. But at family gatherings now, she finds herself sitting quietly while her grandchildren scroll their phones. When she speaks, they smile politely, maybe nod, but then they shift the conversation to something she doesn't understand. And over time, she starts speaking less, not because she doesn't have anything to say, but because it feels like no one's really listening. That's the hardest part. You're not angry. You're not resentful. You just feel unseen, like your history, your experience, and your voice no longer hold weight in the fast-paced world around you. And eventually, it becomes easier to say nothing at all, to stay home, to keep your thoughts to yourself, not because you don't care, but because it feels safer. This feeling is more common than most people admit. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. It builds over time. A missed question here, a half-listened story there, until one day, you realize you've stopped sharing altogether. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, when your feelings or thoughts are brushed off, even unintentionally. And the truth is, it can be more painful than someone directly disagreeing with you, because it makes you feel invisible. But here's the thing. Just because others have stopped asking does not mean your story has lost its meaning. Your voice still matters. Your presence still carries weight. You're not defined by the attention you get. You are defined by the life you've lived, and that deserves to be honored. Sometimes, the answer is not to fight for space in rooms that overlook you. It's to find new rooms, new conversations, or even to find peace in your own company. Being heard is not always about being loud. Sometimes, it's about finding places where silence is respected and truth is welcome. If you've been feeling like you no longer belong in some of the circles you used to love, it's okay. You're not alone in that. Many others feel it too, and many are walking the same path, choosing peace over performance, choosing real over rushed, choosing solitude over surface-level connection. So let this be a reminder. You still matter. Your thoughts still matter. And you don't have to prove your worth to be valued. You just have to keep honoring it yourself. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest kind of presence you can offer the world now is your own quiet authenticity, whole, steady, and sure of who you are, whether the room hears it or not. Let's talk about a feeling many people carry but rarely say out loud. The fear of being a burden. It's that quiet voice inside that says, don't ask for help. Don't call too much. Don't be in the way. And if you're in your 70s or 80s, that voice might have grown louder over time. Herbert, 84, used to spend nearly every weekend with his daughter's family. He loved being around them, watching his grandkids play, hearing about his son-in-law's work stories, just feeling like part of the mix. But as his knees started to give out and walking became harder, something shifted. He started saying no more often. At first, it was just maybe next time. Then it became, you all go ahead without me. When asked why, Herbert said, they've got their lives. I don't want them rearranging everything just for me. He said it with a smile, but behind that smile was a deep sense of guilt. Not because his family made him feel unwanted. They loved having him around. But somewhere along the way, he started to believe that needing help meant being a burden. And that's the tough part. Many older adults have spent a lifetime being the helper, the rock, the one everyone leaned on. So when the roles shift, when you're the one who might need a little support, it can feel uncomfortable. It can even feel like failure. But here's the truth. Needing help is not a weakness. It's part of being human. And the people who love you, they don't help out of obligation. They do out of care, out of gratitude, out of love. There's a difference between being a burden and being a blessing who needs a hand now and then. And often, the fear of being too much causes more loneliness than any actual request ever would. It's okay to ask for a ride. It's okay to need someone to pick something up. It's okay to say, I could use a little help today. Those words won't make you a burden. They make you brave. And more than that, they open the door for connection. Because letting people show up for you lets them love you in a new way. It's not about being dependent. It's about being real. And real relationships go both ways. So if you've been holding back, staying quiet, or isolating yourself because you're afraid to ask, just remember this. You are not a burden. You are a gift. And the people who truly care about you already know that. Let them in. Let them help. You've carried others for so long. Now it's your turn to be carried, with grace and without guilt. And if it helps, think of this as giving your loved ones a chance to give back to you. Because real love never counts the favors. It just shows up over and over again. Some relationships don't end in anger or dramatic goodbyes. They don't explode. They simply fade. And the truth is that kind of fading can be just as emotional, even if no one says a word about it. Think about Victoria. She's 73 now. For years, she went on weekly walks with her best friend from high school. Same trail, same time, same laughter. But over time, things shifted. The walks became monthly, then once every few months. Then one day they just stopped. No fight, no falling out, just silence. Life had slowly pulled them in different directions. At first, she felt confused. Did she do something wrong? Did her friend just stop caring? But the truth was, it wasn't about blame. It was about the seasons changing. People grow, priorities shift, and sometimes the connection you once had just doesn't fit anymore. That's hard to accept, especially when the memories are good. You look back at old photos, cards, and messages, and you miss what was. But missing something doesn't mean it's meant to stay. It just means it mattered. In your later years, you might find that your circle gets smaller. Not because you've pushed people away, but because you've stopped chasing what no longer feels mutual. You've learned that relationships take energy. And if that energy isn't returned, it becomes exhausting. Letting go of old friendships can feel like grief, but it's also growth. It's realizing that you deserve to be met with the same care you give. And if a relationship no longer feeds you emotionally, it's okay to loosen your grip. Some friendships were built on shared phases, raising kids, working the same job, and living next door. But once that phase ends, the glue that held you together can weaken. That doesn't mean the love wasn't real. It just means the chapter ended. And that's part of life, too. So if you notice your phone ringing less, your invitations shrinking, your coffee chats disappearing, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're forgotten. It might just mean your energy is better spent elsewhere now. Instead of mourning every lost connection, try honoring what it gave you. And then let go with gratitude. Because holding on too tightly to what has already drifted can keep you from embracing what's ahead. You're not alone in this. Many people go through the quiet fading of relationships as they age. It's not failure. It's a shift. And in that shift, there's space for new clarity, new peace, and sometimes even new companionship, ones that fit who you are now. Remember, relationships are not measured by how long they last, but by the meaning they held when they were alive. So say thank you to the past and keep walking forward. Your journey isn't over. It's just evolving. There's something powerful that happens when you finally learn to enjoy your own company. And no, it's not about being antisocial or giving up on people. It's about realizing that being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. They're worlds apart. James is 82. He used to be the guy who threw big backyard barbecues every summer. Loud music, full tables, constant chatter. But now, he finds his peace on the front porch, cup of tea in hand, watching birds fly in and out of the trees. When asked if he ever feels alone, he smiles and says, "I've got enough memories in my head to keep me company for days." That's the shift. You stop needing to fill every silence. You stop feeling the urge to be constantly surrounded. And instead, you start to appreciate the calm, the stillness, the chance to hear your own thoughts without interruption. For a long time, many of us have been taught to measure life by how full our calendars are. The more dinners, the more meetings, the more activity, the better. But with time, you realize that presence matters more than performance. The noise doesn't mean a connection, and that some of the richest moments in life happen in quiet, unshared spaces. Being on your own doesn't mean you've failed at relationships. It means you've learned to love yourself in a way that doesn't rely on constant validation. You stop chasing applause. You stop explaining your choices. You just live, and you let peace lead the way. Sometimes people worry when they see someone choosing solitude. They say things like, "Are you okay?" or "You should get out more." But what they might not realize is that you're more than okay. You're finally at ease. You're finally in tune with what makes you feel whole. And that is something to celebrate. Solitude allows you to reconnect with your passions, your memories, your body, your breath. It's where you remember who you are underneath all the roles you've played. Parent, partner, caregiver, worker. In the quiet, all that falls away. And what's left is just you. Beautiful, honest, strong you. So if you find yourself spending more time alone these days, and it brings you peace, lean into it. You're not withdrawing. You're returning to yourself, to your rhythm, to your truth. And that kind of peace, the kind that doesn't need to be loud or seen or understood by others, that's a rare kind of joy. It's a soft, steady strength that only comes when you realize you are whole, even when no one else is in the room. So don't second-guess it. Embrace it. This season of stillness could be the most beautiful chapter of all. You're not fading. You're not disappearing. You're transforming. Every time you choose calm over chaos, silence over noise, presence over pressure, you're making a conscious decision to value yourself more deeply. This isn't about giving up on people. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about learning that the version of you that sits in peace, alone with your thoughts, is just as worthy as the one who used to be surrounded by crowds. Maybe you used to say yes to every invite, every call, every obligation. But now you pause. Now you ask, does this feel good to me? That shift, that check-in, it's growth. It's wisdom. It's knowing that your time and your energy are sacred. So if others do not understand this version of you, that's okay. They don't need to, because you do. And that, more than anything, is what matters now. So let me ask you, what part of this conversation felt personal to you? Was it the quiet that brings more peace than parties? The friendships that faded without warning? Or the moment you realize you're not the same person you used to be? And that's okay. Whatever it was, take a deep breath and know this. You're not strange. You're not broken. You're growing. This season of your life isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about honoring the wisdom you've earned. You've shown up for others your whole life. Now it's time to show up for yourself. That calm you're craving, that space you're creating, it's not selfish. It's sacred, and you have every right to protect it. If this video spoke to you, take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments. Even just one sentence could remind someone else that they're not alone. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and tap the bell. This space is for you, for your stories, your growth, your peace. We are so glad you're here. Your presence matters. Your voice matters. And we hope to walk beside you on this journey.